Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. Welcome to Lady Khadija Online College, radiallahu anha. May God be pleased with her. And today's lesson is factorizing quadratics. Quite a lot. So this is A-level pure maths, year 1, Edexcel, UK and international syllabus. Factorizing quadratics is the topic for today. This is quite a long one, so get ready for quite an advanced technique. This one you're going to need if you ever come across a quadratic where you have not just x at the beginning, but you have 6x squared or 3x squared. Something with not just x squared, but something where there's a number in front of the x squared. Now let me just check I've got those. Let me just check I've got that right. So 6x squared minus 11x minus 10. We want to make sure that it does work out perfectly. So there's a lot of work. We don't want to just end up with numbers that don't quite work. So first step is to work out AC. So if we name each coefficient A, B, and C, then we've got A is 6, B is minus 11, C is minus 10. So A times C would be minus 60. Normally with the factorizing that you've done up until this level, you're just looking at the last number, the C, and you're thinking of factors of that number, that last number. But that only works when it's very simple and it's starting with x squared. As soon as you've got another number here, then you have to go one step further and you have to multiply by the first number here and the last number here. That's called the AC method. So working out AC. AC is minus 60. Now carry on as normal and let's get the factors, the times to get minus 60, starting in order. 1 is always a good place to start. And then try to use the numbers again, but change the signs. And then keep going and keep going, preferably in order so that you don't miss any possible pairs. Four and minus 15. And we could probably go with 5 and 12. Squeeze in minus 5 and 12. You have to get every single pair, so be persistent on this one. Until you can't get any more pairs. So once you're satisfied you've got all the pairs, then the thing is to look at the middle number, which is minus 11, and try to pick which pair can I pick so that if I was to add the two numbers, let's add the two numbers, I would get minus 11. So going down the list, it looks like this pair is the right one. So 4 plus minus 15, that would make minus 11, which is the same as I've got in the middle. So that's the one I want. You can ignore all the other pairs now. So let's get rid of them. And the next step now is going to be a little bit different to what you've seen already. So we're going to take the pair 4 and minus 15, but this time we are still going to just work with the terms here. So we're not going to introduce the brackets just yet. We're just going to stick with what's here. So we've got 6x squared. We've got minus 10 at the end. It's equal to 0. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use these two numbers, the 4, the minus 15, to rewrite the minus 11x. I'm going to rewrite the minus 11x as plus 4x minus 15x. Notice that I've got those two numbers, the 4 and the minus 15, from the pair that I had circled, and because they both add up to minus 11, then I can replace minus 11x with those two numbers, plus 4x minus 15x. Okay, the next step is to try and imagine that we were covering up half of this, so we could only see another half. So let's just try that, covering up again. So you have to try to imagine that you're covering up everything so you can only see the first two terms, and then everything in the beginning so you can only see the last two terms. And what you're trying to do is factorize what you can see into a single bracket only. Single bracket only. So let's try that. Let's draw a line down the middle. And then factorizing what's on the left into a single bracket only. I've got a common factor of 2, also a common factor of x. And then I'm going to need 3x plus 2. Now go on to the right-hand side. Just looking at the right-hand side, common factor of minus 5. No common factor of x. And then it would be 3x plus 2. You know you've done it right if you can get these two brackets to match, which they do. So now comes the final answer. We can factorize the original quadratic into two brackets. The first bracket is the bracket that you see twice, 3x plus 2. And then the second bracket is formed from whatever's left over, the 2x minus 5. And that is how you factorize a quadratic where you've got not just x squared, but something x squared. Let's just go through those steps again and see if you can follow it, hopefully a bit easier the second time. Okay, so the first thing was to do a times c, 6 times minus 10. That made minus 60. And then for the minus 60, we write all the pairs that list a list of all the pairs that times to get minus 60. The one we want to pick is the one that adds to get the middle number, the minus 11. So we've got minus 11 here. That's the one that's going to make this. Then we keep the first thing as it is, we keep the last number as it is, and then what we do is we rewrite the minus 11x using those two numbers. So it's plus 4x minus 15x. Now we factorize each half of that into a single bracket. The left-hand side becomes 2x bracket 3x plus 2, and the right-hand side becomes minus 5 bracket 3x plus 2. And then your two brackets are there. 3x plus 2 is your first bracket because that's the bracket that's repeated twice. And then your second bracket is whatever's left over. Okay, from there we can solve it. So we can then say, okay, if I take one bracket at a time and I make it equal to 0, then I just solve the equation for whatever x is needed to make it equal to 0. So the first bracket is saying 3x plus 2 has to make 0. And then if I solve that, I would get 3x equals minus 2, x equals minus 2 over 3. Do the same thing with the second bracket. The second bracket is saying that 2x minus 5 is equal to 0. So solve that. Take the minus 5 across, divide by 2, and then you'd get the second answer of 5 over 2. Join me for more on factorizing quadratics in the next lesson. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be with you and the mercy and blessings of God.